Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Dylan here, and I'm making a video on the update for this drift trike I'm building. I didn't want to do like a full build process on it, so I'm pretty much just going to do a little update here. So before, in my last video, all you saw was I took the bike frame and lined the motor up next to it, and then I think I just had my tractor tires behind it or something. But yeah, it was just like the first kind of like rough idea of what I'm going for. So this is pretty much where I've gotten so far after 3 weeks of working on it. So far I got it back to the house here, and since this is a workshop, this is the easiest place to work on it. It's got all the tools that I need. So what I did from there, after getting a rough idea of what I wanted to do with it, I took it back to the house and I started cutting the frame up and trying to get the engine to fit the best. And I really didn't like how the engine was. It was just a little too small, and it had on here tapered crankshaft because it was off a generator. I don't know why, but generators, they like to put a taper on the crankshaft for probably whatever, like motor or pulley adapter or whatever they have that goes onto the crankshaft. I guess the output shaft is what you would really call that. The output shaft is just part of the crankshaft. So on the generators, they just taper them, and it must just be for some type of pulley they use or some other type of mounting system. I don't know what, but anyways, it was a crappy like 80cc motor off of a generator. And I knew it probably wasn't going to be enough power. It probably would have been, well, let's put it this way. It probably would have been just enough power to get me moving and maybe just a little bit of wheel spin, but I decided we might as well just go with something different, and I went to the small engine shop here and found a nice Predator 212. I was just sitting around, had a sprocket with it and everything, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get that. He only wanted $80 for it, so I'm like, sure, we'll try it at least. If not, I can always put it in something else. So that's what I did. I brought that home, and then I started eyeballing that and like how it fit, just seeing like where I wanted the frame and basically how big and how long I wanted it. So after doing that, I pretty much got a good idea, and I tried to just modify like the bottom bike rear wheel mount, I guess you would call it, because it's not really a swing arm, but it would be where a swing arm is on a suspension bike. But so I tried to just put like a motor mount on that, and it didn't work at all. So I had to redo that, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to make a whole new rear section for seat mount, motor mount, and rear hub. So I knew I had to do something different because I don't even know where I was going with that. Fuck, this is harder than I thought. So what I did so far after taking it back is I took the frame, chopped it up, started eyeballing things that I wanted to do with it, and I was gonna use the original bike lower wheel mount as the motor mount basically, and then just try to like squeeze it all into that, but that definitely wasn't gonna work. It was way too thin, and there's just no way to like make it truly structural. Like if I was using that old motor, I might have been able to get away with it, but even then that was still pretty jank. So what I did was I have this Craftsman mechanic stool that we've had for years, and it's pretty much at its like point where it's falling apart, and we don't even use it really anymore because it's just more of a hassle. And It did have like a little bottom tray where you could put tools and hardware, whatever you're working on. You put it in there. That was pretty much broken out, so it was literally just a stool. The whole stool wasn't even like that good of a stool because it was like really rickety sometimes. So I decided, well, let's see how this looks, and I just lined it up to the front of the bike, or I guess the back of the bike, and just kind of like put the motor in there, put it up on blocks to where it's pretty much sitting right now, and I've just figured, hey, that's almost perfect. Why not? I mean, it's pretty cool looking. I don't think anyone's ever tried to do something like this before. It's like a, what do they call them? A bar stool go-kart and a drift trike combined. So you get the best of both worlds. It looks cool. You could pretty much take it anywhere, and someone would like it. Anywhere that it can go, I guess I can say. Can't really go anywhere with it. But you can take it to like car shows or swap meets or whatever, and people would love it. That's what I like about it, is it's kind of like, yes, it's kind of hacked together and it looks a little jank if you're not like really into this type of stuff. But for someone like me who's like really likes building stuff and fabricating their own contraptions, this is pretty freaking badass. So, anyways, I got the motor from the small engine shop. It's only a Predator 212, non-Hemi, so it's not like anything special, which I don't really need anything special for this thing because it's already going to be super sketchy. So that 212 should be plenty of power to push me around and get me drifting a little bit. So we got the motor, put it in there, pretty much disassembled the whole seat. So once I got the seat pretty much all disassembled, I saw that it was pretty much just butt jointed right here, and there's a bolt going through it to hold it together. And I just took the bolt out, cleaned it up, welded it up, and then got 2 bars here to go as cross members for a motor mount, and then there's another one that goes in between them to hold them pretty much in one spot. So if it should break, it should only be like up and down, but I don't think it will break. It's pretty solid. I didn't think this metal would be that sturdy of metal, but it's decently thick. It's not the thickest stuff, and it's definitely a little bit on the like cheaper metal quality side, but I think it'll do just fine for what I'm using it as, at least. But like I said, time will tell. I have to get my clutch and other parts, and then I can test it, and we will see if it will actually hold. I just took some angle iron, put it up on this side so it has something to weld these 2 tabs to, and that's pretty much what mounts the top of the seat to the frame to make it all one piece. And then the motor pretty much just sits inside of the seat, and then that gets mounted or here, and that's pretty much it. I could probably put one over here too, but I really don't need to. It's already pretty strong, but if I ever like really want to like build this motor or something and get some more power out of it, I probably should. But for now, it should work. And then down here, we have it mounted with just 2 washers on each side, and then that pretty much just sandwiches the, what would you call that? I forget. I used to know all this stuff, but now I've been out of biking forever, so I forget now. Basically, where your pedals go, I have it pretty much just sandwiched in there, and then there's a big bolt that goes through. It's not welded because I wanted to make it so the whole front can come apart in case it does ever get crashed, and or I want to change like the style of the bike, because that's one thing that you can change. It's not a fixed part of the whole thing where you're going to have to cut, which, in all honesty, there's no problem with that. Like, I wouldn't mind just cutting it and putting something else, which, looking back at it now, I probably should have just did that to make it more structural, but like I said, it'll be fine. Just like Isaac says in Cars and Cameras. They're actually the ones that got me the motivation to want to do this. Seeing all the cool things they build with these little Harbor Freight motors, basically, even though they got the nice Tiltons now, but they started with the Harbor Freight ones just like this, so I figured I might as well. And I decided to build the little drift trike because I had a bike, a bunch of bikes just laying around. I'm like, yeah, I'll just make a drift trike out of one. Why not? So this is pretty much where I got so far. I got cheap throttle, only like $10 on Amazon. That works pretty decent. And then the brake, I got that working good. It's hooked up to like a gyro system, so you could spin the handlebars all the way around, but I realized you can't really do that with two different cables. Unless I had like, I don't know, some other way of doing it. But since I don't, I figured I'll just keep it like that. Since I had the lower brake cable, I just had to get this upper one. And it had the gyros pieces, whatever you'd call them. It had them already, so I'm like, yeah, we'll just use it. Why not? It seems to be working. Like I said, I'm going to have to see how well it is when I ride it, but the brake is definitely not the most sturdy of brake. Like, that's super flimsy. I'm just waiting for a rock to smash that and just destroy it. But like I said, it'll work for now. And then I just got this fuel tank out of an old snow blower that we had up at the new house, and I just pretty much made a bracket that welded it right to that, and then I zip tied it for extra support. Main reason I had to use this one is because it has the thicker outlet, I guess you'd say, and then that'll give it plenty of fuel for this engine. Because I was going to use one of those like really thin ones from like a weed eater, but I figured I definitely need a little bit more fuel. So I found this one. It's pretty decent size. It's not like the best looking one. Like, I don't like how it looks exactly. Like, it definitely could be better, but for now it'll work. Doesn't leak. It's on there pretty sturdy. It's the right diameter, and that's all that really matters. Fuel gets to the carb. I already tried it. I do need to put a new jet in the carb still, because the air filter kit I got didn't come with a jet. So I'm going to have to get one of them now. And then I'm just waiting on the clutch, another wheel, and the 2-wheel hubs. And then I can pretty much get this thing done, ready on the road to go rip. So yeah, this is my drift trike that I've been building for the last 3 weeks. Drift bar stool go-kart trike thing. We'll come up with a name that sounds a little bit better later on, but for now, that's pretty much it. I don't really know what else to go over. I did have the forks flipped the other way, but it didn't ride right at all. Go figure, so had to put them back the normal way. Right now, I just have it on these casters, so I can just scoot it around, do with it as I please. Makes it easier to work on. I don't have to have it on blocks and have it rickety and wanting to falls over all the time. Air filter I just got because the engine didn't have an air box on it, so I'm like, oh, maybe he had an air filter on it already and the jet's in it already. Nope, didn't have the jet in it. So I'm assuming they just sold the air box off of it. And then the muffler, we had that laying around. The heat shield was off of the motor that I was going to use, that 80cc. But since that thing's way too small, we'll probably never use it for anything else. I just put it on that. It does get a little hot on your left buttocks, but nothing wrong with toasting your buns as long as you're not crisping them. You don't want burnt buns, boys and girls. But for now, it'll do. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll probably have the wheels and the clutch. I'll have it either on and the trike's ready to go, or I might make a video of me putting that stuff on and then show you guys the first test drive. Let me know what you think of that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know if you want to see more. I'd really like to get another buddy over here so he can record while I'm talking on the GoPro, because I can't really do both at the same time. I can hardly just talk on the GoPro and think of what I want to say. So we'll try that out. I think that's pretty much it. So hope you guys have a good day. See you later.